Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading from Rebel of Fire by L.M. Preston, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me for Chapter 1. Ray smelled blood. The metallic taste was in her mouth, enveloping her senses. Sirens blared, but the throbbing in her head hurt so bad she didn't have the will to wake up fully. She had to open her eyes. The accident. Her last thought before being suffocated by the chilled waters beneath the bridge where they'd crashed was that her sister, Envy, was thrown from the van. Her brother hit his head. Dexter was drowning. Her mom and her twin brother, Reese. What happened to them? It was her fault. She had to save them, get them away from here. She struggled and jerked, feeling like she was fighting to get out of the suffocating waters of the lake. Ah! She felt the pain that coursed through her entire body and pushed herself up. Ray's trembling hands braced her on the hard cot in what appeared to be the inside of an ambulance. Ray willed her body to move. She tried to open her eyes. One was bandaged closed, but the other was slightly crusted but opened. Ray's vision cleared. She raised a hand to the gauze covering her head. Everything on her hurt, but suddenly an energy she couldn't explain rushed through her in waves, dulling the pain, giving her focus. They are on us. A gruff curse came from the medic near the light from a window. The ambulance sharply whipped from side to side. Ray slid off the hard bed, and her knees buckled when she hit the floor. God! Ow! She willed herself to stand and pushed her back up against the wall, wincing at the burn in her side and on her head. The crouching medic held on to a loop strap in the corner of the ambulance van. The medic pointed a gun through the broken glass window of the back double doors. Several pops sounded, and the doors flew open. Someone was shooting at them? At an ambulance? Why? Ray crawled backwards, grimacing at the pain. I can't die today. Ray searched for a weapon, anything she could use. The bed slammed into the opposite side of the ambulance, then surged at her. Ray dropped to the floor, barely in time to keep her head attached to her neck. The medic yelled a name, maybe at the drivers. Ray didn't know. The medic fired at what sounded like a motorcycle gang outside. She could hear the revved up engines in succession. A huge explosion from a building or something shook the vehicle. It caught the wind from the blast and reeled forward. Ray's petite form was jerked against the small cabinet of supplies, then fell backward, striking her throbbing head against the metal wall of the ambulance. The motorcycle riders didn't relent, though. The medic shot several rounds from the gun he thrust forward. The back door flung open, then closed, then open again. The shots didn't stop them. The dark smoke from the motorcycles kicked up. They swerved from one side to another behind the speeding ambulance as if setting up for another attack. A blue glowing whip snapped through the open door and wrapped around the medic. He fought against the weapon around his neck and braced himself by a foot against the wall within the cab of the ambulance. His fingers wrestled with it as it tightened. Ray could have sworn his hands turned to claws as he tried to rip the glowing blue whip tail from his neck. The medic roared. His teeth even appeared to grow into sharp points that protruded from his mouth. Ray gulped back the putrid taste of vomit as she held tightly to a small hook in the middle of the wall. She must be hallucinating. Grrr! The medic released an inhuman sound before the whip yanked him out of the cab of the ambulance. She had to be dreaming. Ray felt nauseous. This couldn't be real, could it? What kind of medicine did they put her on? Ray shook her head. She felt clammy, sweaty. She had to get out of this ambulance. She blinked through her blurry vision while searching for a weapon. She crouched lower, wondering how she could get out of this alive. Ray glanced at where the medic had fallen before he was snatched from the vehicle. His gun would work. There it was in the corner. She scrambled on her hands and knees at the tossed handgun. She remembered her father's summer hunting trips and wished she had paid attention when he told her how to shoot a stupid gun. Ray fumbled with the weapon, vaguely remembering how to fire it. She couldn't make out what was behind the smoke from the ambulance. Then two of the bikers appeared within the sway of the smoke they kicked up. One of them, in a black leather suit and helmet that covered his head, gave a hand signal to another. Ray squinted her eye and swore the bike resembled her twin brother Reese's motorcycle. It had to have been stolen or a replica. Ray didn't care. She wasn't going with anyone without a fight. She pulled the trigger, bracing for the kickback of the weapon, and nothing. All of the bullets were gone. The ambulance rocked to the left and up in the air. No! Ray was thrown against the door frame. The bed slammed in the wall, then rolled toward her. She kicked it away. It launched out the door. The impact of the ambulance hitting something hard bounced it down and then up. She went flying midair and then fell on the side of the breathing machine. She fell forward. Every bone and muscle in her body throbbed. Smoke and dust from the collision curled around the high blood red Smoke from the dust and collision curled around the high blood red moon. Ray focused on trying to fight the throbbing of her head. A motorcycle guy climbed up into the cab of the ambulance. Ray's vision grew hazy. She fought to stay coherent, but the ache drumming into the back of her head traveled to her eyes. Ray tried to stand, but gravity sucked her down. Someone caught her. I think she's okay. Ray stumbled into the abyss of darkness once more. Chapter 2. Ray couldn't open her eyes. They were bandaged shut. She could smell, though, and the scent reminded her of chicken stew. The flavors and thickness of the spices simmering over a stove made her stomach growl. She tried to move her hands, dreaming of reaching for a bowl her mother left on their kitchen table in their New York home before her siblings got to it. Her fingers on her writing hand wouldn't budge. They were firmly wrapped in cloth. She lifted her other hand to her face to find a cloth bandage tightly woven around her face and a portion of her neck. Ray swallowed. Think. Her memory was foggy in pieces. Her family, they'd moved from New York to somewhere bad. Newport, Rhode Island, wasn't what they thought, and that job she took at the school newspaper was dangerous. Megan, the editor of the paper, threatened to punish her if Ray didn't do her one last favor. The car crashed when her family tried to escape, and now the ambulance. Jumbled thoughts all led to Megan, a red-headed manipulative witch that was something else. Ray struggled to sit up. A firm hand pushed against her upper chest and forced her to back down into a thick blanket with a hard surface she thought was the floor. She moved her other fingers, which were free of bandages, and slapped the hand holding her down. Stop it. You'll reopen your wounds and mess up all the work I've done to help you recover, scolded a deep, somewhat annoyed voice. The voice was familiar. It asked someone why they were giving her to him. What did that mean? Ray cleared her throat, which didn't have the typical sour taste from waking up. She frowned and pressed her tongue against her front teeth and then ran it along the top row. There was a minty residue on her teeth. Someone had brushed them for her. Please, Ray coughed, take off the bandage so I can see. A warm hand brushed hers away from her face. No, you'll scratch the scars in your sleep. I won't. He snorted. You have nightmares. You always fight in your sleep, except when... I don't remember the dreams, her stomach growled. Here, let me help you lie against the pillows. Two large, warm hands gripped her around the waist and lifted her back against several comfortable but firm pillows. Thank you. Where am I? Something about his presence comforted Ray, and she wondered if they'd met before. A deep chuckle bounced off the walls of the room. My place, on the edge of Newport, safe for now. Someone tried to kill me. I was in an ambulance. She hoped the guys that were trying to fight with the medic in the ambulance didn't save her for something worse than the people who ran her family's van off the road. I know. Ray gulped. Did she spill too much information? How? I was there. Why? To take you from them. They were taking me to the hospital to be with my family. A hand touched her shoulder. Ray fisted her wrapped hand and blocked it away. Now I'll never find them. They weren't taking you to the hospital. Besides, the hospital blew up. Your family, well, I don't know if they even survived, if they were there. How do you know? Ray started to cough. Her chest ached. Quiet now. I have to feed you. I don't want to eat. I want to leave. Ray had to get out of there. She had to get to that hospital to make sure her family made it out alive, if they'd survived the accident. Ray struggled to push herself up. Stop it. You'll re-injure yourself. A firm arm came around her, tugged her against a thick muscular frame, and then trapped her arms. Let me go. I don't want to hurt you, but I will. I swear I will. Tears dampened Ray's face in the bandages as she sobbed. She had to get out of here, but she didn't have the strength. What happened to the promises of the treasure she'd release? It was supposed to make her stronger, but instead it did nothing. Eat first, and after your belly is full, I swear I'll tell you what I know. His voice was soothing but insistent. Ray's surge of strength seeped from her as fast as it had ignited. She relaxed as her stomach growled more insistently. Open your mouth. I will feed the stew to you. Ray hesitated. It won't hurt you. It's good stew. I made it myself. It's fresh. Ray sniffed. It did smell tasty. Her mouth watered, and she opened it slightly. A spoonful of thick gravy goodness filled her mouth. She pressed her eyelids down. A sigh of contented satisfaction escaped between bites. You like my chicken stew. I don't think you like the beef stew as much. You only ate a few bites when I fed it to you a few days ago. He loosened his hold around her waist. Are you going to stop fighting me now? Days? Ray swallowed. For now, I will. She opened her mouth, wanting another bite of stew. He gently fed it to her. They remained quiet through the rest of her meal. It's all gone. My family, the ambulance, you promised to tell me. I will. Let me put the bowl away and I'll answer your questions. Ray tried to call him back, but firm footsteps sounded faint as she lifted her hand to get his attention. She was so tired. Ray yawned. He was taking so long. Sleep. She was so sleepy. Ray must be dreaming. Good night, Runt.